Today, we live in an age both hostile to and fascinated by blackness. White people's fascination in black culture isn't news to anybody. A recent report finds that ABC's family sitcom Blackish is being watched mostly by white people. And even though Blackish and other black shows are important for some black folks, they have an undeniable white audience. And that's what I want to focus on. The white gaze. Is it an insurmountable problem? The short answer is no. The long answer? Look, of course the white gaze is a huge problem. If you're a black writer, artist, producer, how do you straddle the line between catering to your black audience while keeping an authentic voice, while at the same time knowing full well that a good portion of your audience, and in some cases the majority, is white, and that in many cases your success depends on your white audience? I think Blackish has capitalized on this while not pandering to the white audience. But first, let's backtrack a bit.
Too much, man!
Performance of blackness in entertainment dates way back. White people loved seeing blackness on stage even before they could bring themselves to watch real black folks. Early 19th century is filled with examples of blackface, i.e. white people putting on black paint and acting out the most disgusting stereotypes for their own laugh. This is called minstrelsy. In early 20th century, two white comedians took this tradition from the theater stage to radio with a show called Seminandy, where they spoke in black southern dialect.
Let me look at that book a minute, Henry. Look here. Here's a piece of stone.
Their show was racist all the same and proved wildly popular for decades. And in 1951, it was carried over to the TV screens with an actual black cast entitled Ames and Andy.
$10,000 involved here.
Is? Well, how do we get these two crazy people apart?
This is where things get complicated. While NAACP protested the show along with many others, which led to the show eventually getting cancelled, others in the community argued that for all its flaws, the show actually opened the door for black actors and actresses to appear on TV.
They paid the dues that made it possible for those who now play roles of much more dignity to have come forth.
Professor Robin Coleman from the University of Michigan writes on the subject of black sitcoms, and she calls out major networks for their cyclical attention they have given to black-centered programming. She says that 50s and 60s were virtually silent on scripted entertainment that had black people at its center. But this ended with the massive success of The Cosby Show in the 80s.
Two girls at school were picking on me.
What did they do to you?
They called me a rich girl.
Which led to a big market of young white people that the networks capitalized on with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Na sodium C and zinc.
So Professor Coleman points out that white attention is cyclical. I'd like to add it's also quite fragile. Last year, Saturday Night Live poked some fun at this fragile fascination after Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime show. And people thought it was way too black.
The day Beyonce turned black.
We have to go! We have to leave America! Beyonce is black!
Amy, I'm black.
What? No, you're not.
One might argue, on the other hand, that Beyonce and Jay-Z are aware of this white fascination and capitalize on it.
They're actually pre-Kardashians, right? Because they've been doing this performance that they've been able to capitalize on for years. And even trademarking their twin babies' full names is like a continuation of that legacy, which is to say, like, we're going to keep profiting off of what we understand as your fascination in us and your fascination in black culture and your fascination in what we produce and make. We're going to capitalize on it.
What you just heard is an excerpt from Still Processing, a podcast by two New York Times culture writers. I don't know if I endorse what Beyonce and Jay-Z are doing completely, but if you existed in a world that was predatory of blackness, both in killing black people and eating up their culture, you also might want to turn the system on its head, like the creator of Blackish, Kenya Barris. The show is based off of his very own upper middle class family. Barris seems to be hyper aware of his work existing in the ecosystem of the white gaze. He creates work that acknowledges the white gaze and even capitalizes on it, but doesn't pander to it. Some Blake creators take a different approach. Listen to what Toni Morrison has to say.
As though our lives have no meaning and no depth without the white gaze. And I've spent my entire writing life trying to make sure that the white gaze was not the dominant one in any of my books.
Can we take a moment to appreciate the genius that's Toni Morrison? While one way to deal with the centrality of the white gaze is to reject explaining anything to the white audience altogether, another way is Barris's way. And it's quite a profitable way. In one episode, the Johnson family is dealing with Rainbow's biracial identity. Bo is the mom, she's a doctor, has a white father and a black mother. At one point, the episode is interrupted with a short history lesson on the word mulatto.
They called mulattoes. Crazy offensive name, right? Well, crazier offensive origin because the word mulatto derived from the Spanish word for mule. But being mulatto had another side to it. With a slave owner daddy, you may have been one of the few slaves who learned to read, write, or even got your freedom.
These little history lessons are all done in animation and are far from an anomaly in the show. In other words, as a non-black person watching this show, when I get an explanation, it's not woven into the story to make me feel like I get black references. But rather, it's included into the program as an interruption because that's what we, the non-black viewers, require. So Barris cuts up the show and feeds it to us, often in the form of a cartoon, and this I find an empowered stance on his behalf. He elegantly crosses the fine line between presenting an authentic voice that pleases the loyal black fan base while not isolating the white audience. Barris taps into this white fascination and blackness and turns it into an opportunity for creating a hilarious and brilliant black family sitcom that continuously roasts its racist white characters.
You do not have to say African American, just say black. Oh, good.
Oh, well, in that case, you know what word I miss? Colored.
He told The New Yorker that if he had to present the most palatable version of this family in order to be less threatening, then he doesn't even want to tell that story. He elegantly crosses the fine line between presenting an authentic voice that pleases the loyal black fan base while not isolating the white audience. Barris' show Blackish is a great example of how to thrive in a media ecosystem that is harsh towards stories that don't have white people at its center. So in short, this episode was sponsored by... No, I'm just kidding. But do go watch Blackish, it's freaking hilarious.